And we have Councillor Cashmore.
No, actually, I asked my question during lunchtime and answered most satisfactorily. Thank you.
But what if we wanted to hear the answer
Too bad.
and the question?
The question was, how's the relationship with the Hobsonville Land Company, and is there a forward action plan to keep moving that forward? And the answer was,
We've got a very good relationship with them. I think we're very aligned on the principles, the urban design outcomes that we want to achieve in the area.
Reverse take.
Sorry?
Nothing.
They're currently partnering with us. They're working in the area. They're working under a service agreement. So we, to ease transition, we basically transferred over our development team to them. So they've got the experience going forward. They're still sitting in our office. So the relationship hasn't really changed on a day-to-day basis. We're in the final throes of doing the commercial agreement with them. We're hoping that we will execute before Christmas. Yeah, I think going back, I guess it is about relationship, and we're very aligned in the outcomes we want to achieve. I think there will always be some tensions, not necessarily with them, but around the outcomes that we want to achieve. We talked about 4 equal strategic priorities before, and it's something that we've needed to work through internally as well. You know, pace of development versus the value you get for the land versus the impact on community and the other regeneration outcomes that we want to achieve. But yeah, going well.
Okay, Councillor Newman.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know much about the overall project, but the scale and the optics of it are really significant, quite impressive. But just in terms of, from my information, how many families have had to be decanted to accommodate redevelopment? What is the average length of time that they've been away from this area? And are they coming back, or are they settled in new locations? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, sure. So since we took over tenancy management and the process from Housing New Zealand, we've rehoused around 200 families, just under 200 families. Just to be clear, we don't move them outside of the area ever. So, well, sorry, I'll just rephrase that. They may want to move outside the area because they've got other opportunities with employment or family somewhere else in Auckland, but if they want to stay in Tamaki, they get to stay in Tamaki. So that for us is one of the constraints and challenges we have. We actually need to build the houses ahead of that process, which we've done very successfully so far. In the first instance, we try to keep them as close to their pro-social networks as we can, so schools, churches, friends, neighbourhoods and families, so we try and keep them in exactly the same area. Sometimes we need to move them to an old house, and then we'll move them back into a new house, back into the existing neighbourhood, if they want to do that. I think the other important thing here is that it's a very deliberate process for us. We don't use a legal mechanism, which we could do. We use an engagement mechanism. So we start talking to the families about 12 months before they have to move. And it's a really good opportunity to us to deeply understand what their requirements are, whether they need a bigger house, a smaller house, what access they need to other services and things like that. So we really get to know them. And actually, apart from I think about 5 families where we have had to go down a legal route, everyone else has actually agreed and seen the upside of wanting to move.
Do you have any information if there have been children, if you've been able to keep them in Tamaki, great, but with Tamaki is actually quite a big footprint. If you have any information about how many children, if any, have had to actually you could probably have them as sort of out of zones within their existing school. But it would be a concern for me if children have had to effectively go and enrol at new schools because of a process of decanting.
So we've worked really closely with the Kahui Ako to make sure we've made it a priority to keep children within their school zones, especially for primary school. It's actually quite easy to access Tamaki College from anywhere where you live within Tamaki. Having lived there for 9 years, it's not actually that big geographically. Yeah, and then we work on broader issues with the primary school and MOE because, of course, we're knocking down houses, their school role diminishes and then it climbs back up. So we've actually got a mechanism with MOE where they don't have to change their teaching resource either. So yes, we work closely with families to make sure they remain in their school zone.
What about transport opportunities for families, because some of them will be less spatially mobile than some of us, I would suspect, if they've had to move away from the schools where they were close to but the children are still at those schools, connecting those children to those schools even if they're at some distance.
Yes, so we haven't had a situation where that's required, but we would literally just work through that on a case-by-case basis.
So just to reiterate that, that hasn't happened. We've managed to keep the children as close to their schools as they were living previously.
Thanks.
Member Tucker.
Kia ora, Shannon. Mihi nui ki a koutou e tēnei wā. I just had a couple of questions around the changes that are coming with HLC. It says that TLC is going to be doing the engagement with mana whenua. Is that correct? Is it going to stay in the same models that you're using now, or have you got ideas to change that?
No ideas to change it at all. The current model that we operate under is exactly the same, so we'll maintain the relationship and engagement responsibilities with mana whenua, with all of our other community stakeholders. We think of it as, with HLC coming to our space, as they are the development partner. It's a little different if we were using Fletcher or another big organisation. They are purely there for the development exercise.
So will TRC do the engagement relating to any land transfers from TRC to private?
Yes, we will.
And same for identifying cultural values and the like?
Yep, we'll take responsibility for that.
Will the role and responsibility of the THA for tenancy and property management still continue?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Any further questions? I have Councillor Hulse, but she's not here, so... Right, well, thank you. No, don't go. Claire. So
Yes, thank you. So back to the report, we just need to update the delegations. They're quite out of date now. Councillor Bartley used to be the previous local board chair and is now in Denise Lee. So these delegations that are up there are literally just replacing existing delegations and updating them to reflect the new situation and to ensure that we can respond when required.
anything else you wanted? Claire? Okay. Right, well, do we have a mover for those resolutions? Councillor Filipaina?
Yep.
And looking around, Member Takuri. Yep. Right, we'll put those. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? No, there's none. So, thank you, John, Joanna, Shelley, Claire, and the other team at the back. So,
Thank you very much.
okay, and best of. Right, now do we've adjourned that item?
So now we're going back to item 8
Yeah.
and we're going to hear from Hamaru.
Right, we have